All right. Welcome back, everybody. Puckleheads, second round edition. I'm your host, Just Paul, at Steel Curtain PEH. And I got my good friend with me at Josh Elliott 9 on Twitter. You can catch him there. He's the host of Call Your Shot. Definitely get in on that at a competitive gambling show. We had a great time this year with that. So, definitely check him out on there. What's going on tonight, buddy?
Not a whole lot, man. Just sat down here, watching the Vegas Colorado game, and just happy to be here. Happy to be here with you.
Attaboy. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it myself. So, let's just hop right into it. All right.
Let's do it.
We're gonna start right where I know that you love. Okay, this is going to be near and dear to your heart.
Fuck.
It is the Leafs versus Canadiens in a Game 7. Will the Leafs choke or not?
I mean, at this point, they're going to. If history will repeat itself like it has the last how many years, they're going to fucking lose against the Habs. I was just before I came on, I was thinking to myself, like, you know what? They're not going to win. They're just not. They can't close out Game 7s, and they haven't for the last 3 years. Like I said, Montreal. I don't get me wrong. I think Toronto is the better team here. But Montreal did play very well in the first two periods, but they just something with the Leafs, man. They just can't do it. They just can't close out games. They can't score goals in the playoffs, and they just can't. It's just wild. It's just wild to me. So I'm thinking right before Game 7, I'm going to be hammering the Habs to win because history's going to repeat itself. They're going to lose. Toronto's going to go up 3-1 or something in the second or the third period and then blow it. Like it's going to be a repetition. So absolutely, they will be choking.
Yeah. No, I feel like this just has Carey Price standing on his head written all over it, where they just can't even they can't figure it out at all, and it's like riots in the streets of Toronto. That's just how I feel about it. Go
ahead. Sorry.
No. I mean, you're going to hammer the Habs. Well, you get the Leafs are minus 220 favorites. I mean, you're getting plus 180 with the Habs after all the history of the Leafs choking. And I mean, we called this from the very first show we did. We all said that this could be the Leafs standard fucking operating procedure. This could happen.
And you know what? Like the Habs are coming in on a high on this game, right? They just had all their stadium with 5,000 fans or whatever it was. Now they're going to an empty stadium. They're going to Toronto to no fans. So it's not like Toronto has any sort of momentum, any sort of, we got some energy to build up. Nothing. And like I said, Montreal's coming in on a high. They're coming in with the momentum. I mean, this has, like you said, this has Carey Price standing on his head for the whole game and coming out with a W.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that this is just a total disaster waiting to happen, and I can't wait for it to happen. But we'll get more into that when we get into our picks. But so let's talk a little bit about the first round. So who do you think was the most impressive team to advance to you?
So far, I mean, I don't know. There's not really one that really kind of sticks out in my head. Like there wasn't really a ton of upsets. If you really look at who's gone by, it's been basically all the favorites, right? I guess the Islanders would be the one that you could look at it. I guess they were kind of underdogs. I didn't really think that they were going to win in 6 games, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, that would be probably the most impressive out of all of them, especially considering I thought they were dead in the waters going in late into the season. They were playing some very bad hockey. I think they lost at least 75% of their last fucking 10 games, I want to say. And I had my very strong doubts about them in the playoffs, especially going up against Crosby. And then they had Malcolm back. So, I mean, that's probably the most impressive one. Other than that, I mean, it's mostly all the favorites. So, give me the Islanders for that one.
Yeah, and like you said, it is mostly favorites, but that's why, to me, it was Colorado. They just absolutely buzzsawed St. Louis. I mean, they never even gave St. Louis even a chance in that series. Like these other guys, they left doors open for teams, and that they pissed around a little bit, but Colorado just absolutely buzzsawed them.
Yeah, that's the type of team that they are, though. Like, they're just a team that's just run and gun, and they're going to beat up teams and beat them fast. And that's probably not one of the more impressive ones. I think that was expected. Especially with St. Louis not having David Perron for that series and their leading scorer. I knew that Colorado was just going to absolutely maybe win in 5 at the very least. But yeah, a sweep was, I think, pretty imminent. But
I mean, what about the Jets? I mean.
Yeah, I guess you could say the Jets in a way. I forgot about them.
Because that series was over in fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, again, there's this whole cloud under Canadian teams that just, great regular season guys, but you can't win fucking playoff games. I mean, and I didn't know that Oilers were going to lose in 4 games and get swept. Nobody knew that. Nobody predicted that. But I mean, like, I don't know what it is with these certain Canadian franchises that just can't win playoff games. Toronto being one of them, and then the Oilers. But the Oilers, I don't know. Like, it's the same fucking conversation with the Maple Leafs. They put all this money into their front end, all their forwards. Hey, why don't you get some defense? Why don't you put some of that money towards your defense? That might help a little bit. But no, let's put more money into our forwards. Let's get another second line forward or center or whatever, and just whatever. But I didn't think that they were going to, like I said, didn't think they were going to get swept. But, I had a feeling Winnipeg was going to win, especially getting Ehlers back. And they're just offensively and defensively more sound than the Oilers. So I think that's what it came down to.
All right. Well, let's hop over to who you think was least impressive.
Well, I think the least impressive would be Colorado for me, because it just, like I said, St. Louis just hasn't been St. Louis since they've won the Cup in 2018, I think it was. And then they were losing David Perron. Bennington just hasn't been at all in these last couple of years. Just hasn't been himself. Like, he's just been not very good. And yeah, I think Colorado. I think that was pretty imminent that they were going to win in 4 or 5 games, in my opinion.
Yeah. To me, I was surprised at how much Carolina struggled with Nashville. Carolina's like that team that, like, I thought maybe could make a cup run, but I don't know. Maybe some of them crowds played effect on them there in Nashville or something, but they just didn't look, I would say, like, cohesive on the offensive end. It came in fits and starts, and then the goalie is a major question mark for them, whether they can win a cup or not. And it didn't really calm my fears about that at all. So for me, it's Carolina. I mean, they got to, they're already down 1-0 to Tampa this series. So, we'll see where that goes. But
and just barely. I mean, they only lost 2-1. One of our own Puckleheads, Harrison Brooks, we were talking out during Game 6 there. He said it best. He said, if we're in a bubble, if teams were in a bubble, he thought Carolina would have won in 5 games. And you know what? I had a feeling that Nashville was going to win Game 6 and push a Game 7. I just had that feeling, but they didn't. So they only won in 6. And yeah, he's probably right. I mean, they take away the fans in that atmosphere. Just empty stadium, and Carolina probably just absolutely runs over Nashville in that situation. So I mean, but this is what we love about the playoffs, is that the crowds are so amazing that any given night, who knows what's going to happen. Like, an underdog could go down 3 goals or whatever. It just that's what I love. That's what I love about this year. We got finally fans back, that it's just so electric, and just anything can happen nowadays. So
yeah, our good friend Kenny chiming in, saying you could fly away with those wings, buddy.
I know. Yeah, they're getting long. I need a haircut really bad.
I hear you. But let's hop over to the second round here. Boston up 1-0 against the Isles. Pasha scored a hat trick last night. Boston looked pretty good. I don't know if it was maybe the effect of the Pittsburgh series, trying to get used to a new opponent. But that perfection line looked absolutely devastating last night against the Isles. It was a good game. It was 2-2. Then Pasta broke it open, and they popped in an empty netter and ended up being 5-2. What's your thoughts on this series, buddy?
You know what? Boston is one of my favorite teams right now out of the East. For so many years, they've had Pasta, Bergeron, what I'm told, like for scoring Pasta, Bergeron, Marchand, sorry.
Yeah.
This year, that line doesn't have to work as much. They have secondary scoring from Taylor Hall now. They have another line that can go out, or the Bruins head coach can send out the second line in a big situation. They have that line now. They were always good defensively and goalie wise. Offensively, their first line very good, but that secondary scoring was the biggest issue. So you had Marchand and Bergeron and Marchand, Bergeron. Who else did I miss? Pasta working so hard and trying to go up against these top lines and maybe getting more time on ice, and they just burnt out. They would burn out by the second, third round.
Mm-hmm.
Or just couldn't get past. They were so burnt getting into the playoffs, got to the first round, burnt out. Now they have that secondary scoring that they could be very, very scary. And you know what? Marchand and Pasta, even though Pasta scored a hat trick, last night, but they can kind of just, okay, a little bit of a breather here. Take an extra 3-4 minutes, whatever. All right, we're going to send out Taylor Hall's line. And then we're gonna go with you guys. Okay, perfect. Let's go. So that's a scary team to me actually right now. And Tuukka Rask is probably playing some of his best hockey he's been playing. That was a question mark going into the playoffs for me. Was Tuukka Rask, because I wasn't sure how he would be. But he's obviously shown us these playoffs that he's back to Tuukka Rask, and overall Boston's gonna be a scary team.
Yeah, I feel like Boston is the Penguins, except with the goaltender. So the Penguins got plenty of scoring in that series, enough to win that series on the offensive end. It was just the goaltending for Pittsburgh. So to me, I think Boston slams them. I'll say they'll take one on the island just because that crowd is crazy. I mean, it's loud. It's and yes, they do have that depth scoring, but if you hold that perfection line in check, you have a good chance. It's a 50-50 chance. I mean, it's better than 50-50.
Still, though, I mean, Taylor Hall can obviously score goals. We already know that. I don't know who exactly he's playing with. I can't remember specifically.
Krejci. He's playing with Krejci.
Krejci. I mean, Krejci's going to get on the puck, right? Like he's going to go in the corners and get them the puck. So, yeah, they'll probably they'll probably take one in Long Island, and I
think that's it. I think it's 4-1.
1-5. Like I have a game 6 feeling. I have a 4-2.
It could be. It could be, but it won't be that close. You know what I mean? Like it won't ever feel like Boston wasn't going to win the series.
No, for sure. I'm all in on Boston on the East this year.
Yeah. This is the series I was most looking forward to. Well, this in Vegas and Colorado. I thought this matchup was, made in heaven for a hockey fan. Honestly, you got Carolina and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won 2-1 today. I didn't get to watch any of it. They're up 1-0 in the series. The major difference for me, Josh, is the goaltending. Vasilevsky is an absolute stud, Vezina candidate, and we don't know what we're going to get out of the Carolina net right now. It's up in the air whether what we could get out of there. And as long as Kucherov is healthy and doing what he's doing, I mean, he missed the entire season, came back. He's leading the playoffs in points. I mean, that's with missing a couple games. We're not being totally healthy for a couple games. Yeah. And, I like Tampa Bay. I like the way they play. And we know for a fact who's going to be in the net for them. So I think this series goes 6 and Tampa Bay handles them, especially after what I saw in Nashville. Now you're going to pay full arenas in Tampa. So I like Tampa here.
Yeah, I like Tampa here too. They have to win. They have to win their next game, Carolina, because going back in Tampa, like you said, full crowd is going to be very, very tough. I got to watch the game today. Very fast-paced game. The over should have hit. Should have ended up being about 6 goals, but then ended up only being 3. So, you know what? Carolina's goalie isn't too bad. I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm not going to.
Right. That's why I didn't.
He's not bad. He's shown to be a pretty decent goaltender, but so far, and he could potentially go on to have a great career. But right now, he's holding his own against some pretty good teams, and if he can kind of even just get a little hot, this could end up going maybe 5, 6, 7 games if maybe. But I mean, Tampa Bay's team is just almost too perfect. Like it's just they're physically and they're very physical. They bring in a lot of shots. They shoot a lot. They create scoring chances. They're very good. They're very offensively sound. So they are very scary in that sense. So yeah, but Carolina's gotta win this next one because going into Tampa and trying to even just steal one is going to be tough. So give me. I like Tampa to take this in about 6.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty respectable number.
Yeah. No, I agree. Who do you think is a bigger return to the lineup? Kucherov for Tampa Bay or Teravainen for Carolina?
I probably Teravainen because they're not really getting a whole ton of scoring. Like they didn't really get a whole ton of scoring last series. So Teravainen back I think is huge for them. You obviously know you're going to get scoring from Point, Stamkos, Chernak, Blake Coleman on the other side. So on Carolina's end, you really need some scoring. Who's not like a team that didn't really score a whole ton in the regular season. They scored, but not outrageously like a Colorado or Vegas. But
that all-hill line, I expect more out of them.
Yeah,
they have to step up this series and actually lead them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But let's hop out west.
Sure.
This series, we've been waiting for this series since mid-March. This has been in the cards since then. Vegas and Colorado. I can't believe some of the lines in this series, Josh. Today it was like minus 180.
Minus 180
for Colorado.
Yeah.
I like the over in this one today. Last time I'd seen Colorado scored one. I haven't seen anything.
It's 2-0 Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. So over 5.5. I think that'll hit. But I like overs in this series altogether, to be honest with you. Especially, I don't really understand the move to Lerner. Fleury seemed like Vegas put Lerner in the net.
Oh, Leonard. Yeah.
Leonard, whatever. Lerner, whatever the fuck his name is. You know what I mean? Like, where did that come from? Like,
well, you know what it is like, I don't think it's any offense to the Flower there. I think we've talked about this on the show where in the past where we're seeing it's more of a 2 goalie tandem, and Vegas just finished up 7-game series where Flower was going, and he's getting up there in age. He might be getting a little tired. So it's very awesome. It's very, very crucial to have a 2 goalie tandem where we have one guy that's tired. Let's give Leonard the start here, game 1. We'll see how it goes. You don't want to give away a game necessarily to a team. You don't want to do that. You don't want to just say, hey, we'll give you this one. We'll rest up. We'll be ready to go for next one. But it's nice to have a goalie that can be a starter anywhere in the NHL and be your backup and say, hey, we're going to give you game 1. We'll see how it goes. If we lose, we can go back to Flower, who was hot. We just need to give him a rest. So, it's not necessarily a surprise to me. I had a feeling DeBauer was going to go with Flower in game 6, and he ended up standing on his head. So, what do I know? But I mean, it's like I said, we're seeing more of these 2 goalie tandems, which is very crucial in playoffs because, I mean, you get a guy that can stand on his head, but for how long can he stand on his head, right? So,
yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I just feel like this is a dead even series. These teams are really close. They basically decided this home ice on like a tiebreaker, right? It was,
I think
regulation wins
Colorado
or something.
had to win their last 3 games to just get to that point.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? And then the regular season series 4-3-1. And actually it was 4-4 because, they just won in overtime. But, I really don't know what to expect. I don't know if Vegas is going to be gassed from that Minnesota series and that could help Colorado, or Vegas is just ready to go. But I picked them the day we did the final of last year's Puckleheads to win it all. I've stuck with it all year, and I'm gonna continue to stick with it. Yeah, I just think it's do or die for them, Josh. Like, they've been there, they've made the steps, and now it's time. Now it's time to win. It's time to win a cup. I mean, they've gone to the second round. They've gone to the Western Conference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where are you going?
Yeah.
Like, and they're old guys. I mean, they're starting to get up there. Like,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, Patches and Stone, but let's not forget this is a brand new franchise. Like this team has lots of years ahead of them where there will be times for them to win the cup. And I'm not saying that they're not going to win it this year. Well, I am. I think Colorado's going to win, but yeah, you could be right. They are getting up there in age. How old's Leonard?
I think he's 30-some.
Yeah, so I mean, Flower is old, Patches is old. There's not a lot of young talent out in their. Well, they have young talent in their system, but on their team, you can make the argument that they are getting old. Their team is so. Maybe they are in a win situation right now, but I just think that Colorado is just going to be too much for them. I personally thought, and I might have them a little overrated because I personally thought Vegas was going to win in about 5 games against Minnesota. And nothing against Minnesota; they're a great team. But I had so much. I had so many chips on them. I think, they're a perfectly sound team, great offensively, great defensively, great goaltending. But they just kind of maybe regressed a bit. Maybe I have them hyped up a little bit too much. But now you're going up against a young squad in Colorado who's, they're ready to go. They've been resting for how many days? They're ready to go. They're in a win now situation because they got some young guys that are wanting to win now. So,
yep. Yeah, no, I don't really know. This is one I want to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. Strap in.
Then we got the Jets awaiting the Leafs Canadiens winner. I don't care who it is. I like the Jets in this series.
Yeah.
I just feel like Calabuck is playing great, and that Wheeler line's enough to beat either one of those winners.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Jets here no matter what. So
that's who I totally agree with you. And here you have Toronto, who are horribly defensively, score goals, bad on the back end. Montreal, great on the back end, don't get a ton of scoring. They are starting to get a little bit of scoring from Caulfield. Call like their young guys, Caulfield, Kotkaniemi, Suzuki, Tyler Toffoli. It's starting to kind of gel a little bit, I can see. But, I don't think it's enough to overcome Winnipeg's defense. And then if you look at Toronto has the offense to kind of overtake their defense a little bit, but they don't have the defense. Winnipeg's offense is just too good. And so however you put it, if it's going to be the Leafs or the Canadiens, I like Winnipeg to win any of those series, whoever they face.
I totally agree. But let's get to the power play. We got to do some picks this week. Sure. We went 1-1 on our first episode. So, we'll try to do a little bit better this time. Let's hop right out of the gate. So we basically talked about this earlier. This Toronto Montreal game. The Habs is just a great bet. I think it's a great bet. Plus 180. I mean, all that has to happen for you to win that bet is Montreal score the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
If Montreal scores the first goal, it's money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
The Leafs will fold like a chair.
Yeah.
But I even like the under more because I feel like Carey Price is going to stand on his head and it's going to be nail-biting time in Toronto, and it's like a 2-1 overtime Montreal victory, something like that is what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the safest bet in this game tomorrow, I think it is the under 5.5. I don't think this is going to be a shootout, back and forth. We're going to see 4 goals on each side. No, it's going to be Carey Price standing on his head, and Montreal is just, they're not going to score a ton of goals. They're not going to score a ton of goals, and neither is Toronto because Carey Price is standing on his head. A little fun bet for you, though. Look at the draw. A three-way, if you ever look at a three-way bet, it either goes Toronto, Montreal, or draw. And the end, what that is it goes to overtime, ends in a draw. Technically, the bet is. Right. But look at the draw. Last game, I think it was like plus 350. Ooh. So, yeah, look at that. That's a little bit of a fun bet for you if you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't that just feel like exactly what's going to happen? An overtime game. And
it's going to be 1-1 going into overtime.
Yeah, and some stupid puck bounce or goes in off or Leaf kicks it in. That's exactly what I feel like is going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know what the line is specifically, but I know last game it was like plus 350. So it's going to be.
It's got to be. It's got to be up there. It has to be because you know what I mean. Like that draws a tough one to pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hop on to the next one. Boston minus 200. The Owls plus 170. And over under 5. If they are going to keep giving me over under 5 in this series, I'm going to hammer it all day over. I'm going to because I've seen the Owls.
But the Owls won't score a ton of goals, though. That's the issue. And if we're talking about Boston's offense, I mean, they do score goals, but it's almost like they score them in bunches. So, last game they scored 6. This game, I don't know. I just have this feeling, just a little gut in my feeling that it's going to end up being like a 3-1 game Boston, in my personal opinion. I don't know. I'm kind of this is a toss-up.
Anytime I get this 5 in modern NHL, I'm hitting the over.
Yeah, you have to
because you're getting the draw no matter what. I mean,
you're getting the push, right?
You know what I mean.
Money back, even if it's 5.
Yeah.
I for sure. And what did they score? It ended up
6-2.
6-2. So 8 goals last game. So no. And you know what? Islanders might bounce back and just that's their game, right? They play a gap defense basically. They slow the game down. They try and play at their pace. That's kind of their style. So you might see something like that this game to try and bounce back to keep even up the series. But I just don't know. I like Boston too much. I like, what they're doing.
I just never lay 2-1 in puck. I just never do it. I haven't done it. You know what I mean? It's just a fluky sport to begin with, and then you add the playoffs into it. I just never lay that kind of money. I'm going to take the 5 and get the push for myself.
I like
the over.
I'll on that for sure.
Yeah. Then complete coin flip game. I mean, they're both minus 110. I mean, I imagine it'll bump a little bit to Carolina as we get closer to game time. I would imagine
I think Carolina will go the other way.
Yeah, but I mean, just because it's home and a zigzag is probably what bettors will probably lay money on. I don't know because the casual guy is going to bet the Stanley Cup champs is probably 2. But I imagine it probably finishes around minus 120. Carolina is probably somewhere in there.
Yep.
And I like Carolina this is an absolute must win for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they don't win this game, they're going back and they're probably getting swept right out of the playoffs. I mean, that building's got to be loud. It's got to be ready to go, and they got to be ready to go. So I like Carolina here.
I like the over in this game. I watched this game today. Very fast paced, a lot of chances, a lot of shots. It should have, in my personal opinion, go over 5, but ended up 3 goals. Goalie's still on their head, but I have like I said, they're going to probably match their intensity like they had last game. I think we're going to see about a 3-3 game, maybe going into or late into the third. So yeah, I like the over 5.5 as a low line, considering on the other side you got Tampa Bay, who's scored one of the most goals in the NHL. So I like the over in this one. Give me 5.5 over.
Like it. Last one I had a line on. We got Colorado minus 145, Vegas plus 135, over 5.5.
Is that for tonight? No, that's for tomorrow.
No, for tomorrow. Or Sunday or whatever, Tuesday.
Yeah, this line I would imagine will change, especially if Colorado lays a beat down on Vegas tonight. I have a feeling. This is another one I think it's going to go 5. Give me the over 5.5. I could definitely see Vegas maybe stealing one in Colorado, possibly, maybe. I don't think so. But I like the over in this other game, especially if Colorado wins like 4-1, because Colorado is going to score goals. You just know that. That's an imminent. That's the most lock in the NHL so far is team total Colorado over 3.5. That is the most lock. And I think, if this ends up 4-1, I'll be hammering that 5.5 because you're going to get scoring from Colorado, and then Vegas is going to put in a couple, maybe even 3. So.
Yeah, no, I like the over in this series the whole way. Just give it to me until we start getting into 5, 6, and 7 or see where we're at. But I like scoring to start this series for sure. And I at plus 135, I would take Vegas just because of how dead even the series has been all year. And, you get that jolt of, especially if you get your ass kicked and they're expecting to, win a cup, that they're going to come out swinging at least in the second game. And that's why I like that over too, because them teams will come out swinging and then, pop a couple in. And then, like you said, Colorado is going to score at least 2. So that puts you almost halfway home already. So
yeah, exactly.
No, I like the over too. So, we're definitely going to give out that one.
For sure.
So we'll give out the over 5.5 in Vegas and Colorado. And I like the over 5 in Boston and New York. And what else you got? You got anything else?
I think I'm going to lay the money on Montreal to win at plus 180.
Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm down. Yeah, plus 180. I'm down.
You have to. Right?
I'm down. We also want the under in that game, right?
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we want the under 5.5 in that one too. All right, so that's what we're giving out. We're gonna give out 4 this week. We gave out 2 last time. We're gonna give out 4 this week. We got over 5 in Boston, New York. We got over 5.5 in Vegas, Colorado. We got Montreal plus 180, and we got under 5.5 in that Montreal and Toronto's game. So there's the 4 for the week. That was the Power Play, brought to you by Living My Best Cigar Life. Don't just live your life, live your best cigar life. Check them out, livingmybestcigarlife.com. Use Living My Best Cigar Life in all caps. Get $10 off your order. They got everything for you, cigars, hats, humidors, shirts, whatever you need. So check them out. That's about it for the gambling side, Josh. Let's get into the 3 stars. So this is kind of tough for me for the first round because a lot of offense going around. So, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of tough to put the 3 stars together, but I had to give the 3rd star to Tuukka Rask. We probably could have gave it to Connor Hellebuyck too, but Tuukka Rask, 5-1, 1.84 goals against average. He just looked great against the Capitals, and then he looked great the other night against the Isles. I mean, if he's giving up less than 2 goals a game, the Bruins are going to be right in the Stanley Cup, if not win it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, Tuukka Rask has looked like old Tuukka Rask, like old school Tuukka Rask. And that's, I think, what that team needs. And they needed secondary scoring as well as goaltending because that was a big question mark going into playoffs. And they've gotten it. And you know what? Tuukka Rask has shown me that he can be the starting goaltender and take that team all the way to the finals.
Heck yeah. 2nd star, David Pastrnak, hat trick, game 1. Man, what a sight was to see a full crowd a guy score a hat trick, and the ice just littered with hats. It was awesome to see.
Yeah.
Great job. I mean, I got 2 Bruins in the top 3, and it makes me want to puke in my mouth. But David Pastrnak is one of my favorite players just to watch him play. He doesn't say too much, but he just grinds, and his shot's amazing. He always finds a hole somewhere. I'm just glad for the guy. Game 1 hat trick and in front of a full crowd was awesome.
Yeah, he's an electric human being. I mean, he doesn't say much, but he does in his interviews. He's kind of gotten that like Ovi vibe where he does have that sense of humor. We saw it at not the Winter Classic, but what did they do this year? Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
he did an interview. He did it with the nice Macho Man. And he was singing Barbie Girl. This is a great guy, great human being, great personality, unbelievable at hockey. And he just paints a picture every night on that ice, and we're seeing it in real time. So,
yeah. And then our number 1 star, I think it's an easy one. Mark's hat trick, Game 7, leads them to the win over the Wild, and it's just amazing the dividends that signing paid off for Vegas. It was a great scene to see that too. A pretty full packed house there in Vegas, and for them to get the W, and you get a hat trick in Game 7, you get the number 1 star for sure.
Oh, 100%. And they needed that. Like they had. Patches was back for Game 7, but he had been out that whole series, and they didn't have anybody to step up. And take control of the game. All those games were close. They were one goal games, 2 goal games. So they never had anybody that just said, you know what, I'm taking the reins here. I'm going and I'm scoring, a couple of goals, and we're going to the next round. And he stood up. He was that guy. He took the call and he said, "Fuck it, let's go." He most definitely needs the number 1 star because Vegas kind of was lacking offensively a little bit there.
Oh yeah. Well, that wraps up this week's Puckleheads. We will be back next week, kind of go over where the second round's going, to look at these maybe potential semifinal matchups. But Josh, thank you so much for being here tonight. Tell the folks where they can find you, a little bit about Call Your Shot, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshElliott9. If you're looking for some betting plays, I'm always, every single day, playing out some plays for hockey, NHL, MLB, big MLB guy, a little bit of NBA. So anything you're looking to, bet on, take a look at me on Twitter. And you know what? Starting this week, we're coming back with some mini episodes of Call Your Shot. Obviously, we had season 1 where Luke, Pucklehead himself, won season 1 of Call Your Shot. But we're back with a couple mini episodes, for those degenerates out there that are need their fix. We're going to be back. We got new guys that are coming on. Maybe a new concept of win-loss, unit profits to win. But if you're looking for picks, check us out every single Thursday. Call Your Shot on Twitter as well. And thanks for having me. It's been fun. I love talking puck. Love it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, you can find me at Steel Curtain PEH over at bluecollarmg.com. I usually write a daily gambling article. Didn't do one all week this week. But we do give out daily picks there too. I'm pretty much cruising to this month's victory. So, you can catch me over there. But just keep an eye out for all the blue collar stuff. Go to bluecollarmg.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, pretty much any place you can find us. So we will see you guys next week. And thanks for tuning in.
See ya.